Hello guys and welcome to TFT World's final lobby, game number 3. Enjoy.
He seemed very comfortable on support items as well. He picked up Mana Burn as his last augment in game number 2, so knowing how to play around every support item and which support items work best for each different comp is just so important, essential knowledge in a game like this.
Yeah, those support items, like I said, you don't get a ton of practice on it. We saw it yesterday where there was a Zephyr in play, and all of a sudden it felt like people just hadn't been positioning around Zephyr in so long, and we saw a lot of key Zephyr hits deciding fights. So do you lean into something like Zephyr that can have that big impact, or do you play something a little safer like the Zeeks, the Chalice, that are going to give you that attack speed, things like that? Overall, some good choices there. And the other thing is, we're going to get it in around stage 3. And so a lot of the times people, especially the Earth players, will kind of know where they're going, and they can figure out what support item is going to help.
A tough shop here for Han Sheng. Has 4 Melios, but also has a Samira too in the shop, and a Cassiopeia pair with a Renekton already on the bench. So interesting to see how he ends up navigating these shops and what units he ends up holding here. I think he has to go for the Samira, but no. Sells the Samira and decides for the Cassiopeia instead.
We're going to go into augments right away. I did see a couple of Bilgewater units already on Honglian's board, but we're going to check out what everyone goes for first. And of course, the branching out is going to be a popular choice. We're not in the slightest surprised by that. Honglian also staying true to the legend. A couple of players here taking longer. Wet Jungler notably re-rolling that branching out.
Looks like we have 4, maybe it looks like 5 branching outs total, and we'll see what are going to be the directions given to some of these players. We're seeing Han Sheng right now had the Rogue emblem offered, but Sorcerer Heart going to be the pickup for Wei Jin. 2 players played it throughout days 1 and 2, and I believe Wei Jin was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's got the Swain 2 already with 4 Sorcerer, that is a very powerful tempo play. That Swain 2, the item's not perfect here, but the fact that he's going to be able to play around this and push should be very good tempo. We're kind of getting a look at some of these emblems that were taken, by the way. Voltairix getting the Piltover emblem. That's pretty big here. And the silver portal, or silver augments, excuse me, I think are the most kind of skill expressive here. It's going to put people in positions where they're going to have to play around things they're not as comfortable with. The one player that really benefits from this is Hong Lian. The fact that he gets his Pandoras as a silver means you retain a lot of the power of that augment. So I think this is definitely a favored augment start for him.
The one thing that makes me a little bit nervous about what we're seeing here is we have Wet Jungler on the AFK. We also know that Volta is on that Piltover line. So 2 players that are ideally looking for a little bit more of a lost streak for the start. Good thing for Volta, though, he can juggle this emblem. And that's a tech we've been seeing for a little while now, where if you know you might be winning this fight, you just don't slam the emblem. You make sure you don't have the Piltover. But right now, we don't even have 2 Piltover.
I think that's the thing that concerns me here is branching out can be a risk like this. And this is a situation where you are not getting advantage of your entire silver augment. And yes, it's just a silver, but late game that can really matter. Unless he finds a Vi or an Echo very quickly here, we could just be down an augment all game because you're not going to be excited to put in 3 Piltover at 3-1 or anything like that. And that's pretty rough. You can almost see it on his face in the cams, right? He's just got his hand on his head. This is not where you want to be on 2-2.
And Wet Jungler, we saw him so comfortable playing Nyla throughout EMEA Regionals, also Azir Flex. His Slam to Nashor suits can go really well onto the Azir later into the game, so he played it a lot in day 1 and 2. He really didn't hit too many Demacia emblems when he needed them the most until those final games yesterday, and he knows how to flex into those plan B options like the Azir.
Interestingly, though, Altanabwe also picking up a Bilgewater emblem, which for Honglian is bad news. His game plan revolves around the Bilgewater. He goes into them nearly every single game, and now another player picking up that emblem is going to mean you're going to be holding hands.
Yeah, I agree with you, but the one thing I'll say is that Hong Lian has found ways to play that Neela in other lines. One of the things that's been impressive about the way he's played is the fact he's been willing to he's picked his 4 cost, but there's a bunch of variations. We've seen him play it with the Bruiser line, we've seen a few others, and so I think he can stay pretty open to this. The other thing I wanted to call out here is that this might be one of the first lobbies we've seen on broadcast at least where there aren't any Demacia players. The fact that there's no Demacia emblem, there's nothing like that. We see Demacia often get played because it has that tempo where you can hit 5 Demacia on 5, 7 on 7. I don't know if we're going to see any this game.
And we'll see what the plan B options are. I mentioned it on the very top of show, where if you don't hit Demacia Emblem, you have to know how to pivot into different, maybe, plan B lines that can also give good results, like Bruiser, like Yazir, for example, with Shurima, like the Zon for Hanxing as well. And I'm very curious also to see what Xiao is going to do. He has a Vanquisher emblem. We saw Wei Jin have great success with the Ionia Vanquisher combination in day 2. Similarly for Wet Jungler, that very last game to make it to this final lobby was on that similar line. So we'll see if Xiao knows how to navigate it, potentially even into that Karma reroll.
Yeah, interesting to point out, by the way, Wei Jin did take a loss here with that Swain 2, that 4 Sork, so that's a little scary. Curious what he lost against, but that means Voltairix also, by the way, with that Piltover emblem staying at 100 health, that's pretty good here, so that if you're going to get that, that's what you want. But yeah, unfortunately, the item's just not really playing into it here, and so is going to level to 5. We'll see where he goes from here.
While looking at the lower third there, was really surprised, well, not surprised, but happy to see the Bruiser emblem come through on title. Throughout all of day 1, day 2, we've been seeing Bruisers do really well. And of course we know, especially in the early and mid, it's just a massive comp, literally. And title is one of the players that could make check here. So really important to keep our hands on him.
And he's a player that's done really well pivoting into these, secondary lines. With Demacia, there was so many lobbies throughout days 1 and 2 where he had the chance to play Demacia. He saw it was 3-way contested, went into 6 Slayer instead, and had really good results on that line, just going for the massive DPS upgrade instead. We'll see now what he can do with this. For now, just QSS Slam, I think more a pretty clear direction with potentially that Mordekaiser in stage 4.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of direction here, going for this loss streak. This will be loss number 4. Goes up against Wei Jin here. Pretty much no chance of getting through that Swain. Did want to also call out Voltairix did hit Piltover there. So we saw the Piltover coming in. That's going to be a pretty big spike. The other thing right now is we've got 3 win streakers heading in to 2-6, which usually means, unless something goes crazy, one of them is going to face each other.
Early Silco.
Yeah,
2-6.
Undercity Tactics fully online for Volta here, trying to mount a comeback in the standings.
Yeah, it's interesting. You see, he decides to take out the Piltover for now completely, despite having that emblem. So basically, we're going to be playing down an emblem. Does find the Silco, has the Cassiopeia, so that's decent. Trying to keep this win streak for now. We'll see if it goes fine. Up against Wei Jin here, who's not win streaking. Can he burn through this Swain? It's going to be very close.
Very interested, like you said, more to who Wei Jin lost before, because this Swain is one big unit, but so is this Cassiopeia, and she is going to tox around and knock him down. Can she, in that early Silco, finish it out? I think there's a good chance, but Milio does stun. Doesn't get it out, though. Volta and Hanxing are going to be able to keep their 100 streaks, as we are going to be moving into Krugs. We'll check in with everyone. Notably, at the top, we do have those 5 win streaks, but very good. Hongleon with a 4 loss streak and still middle of the pack.
And what a board here right now. Wood, Ishtal onto the Warwick for now. The Zon emblem onto the Cho'Gath. What do you make of the game plan for stage 3 here for Hanxing Mortog?
So I mentioned it yesterday, but one of the things I'd want to see is exploding Warwick. If you can get a Warwick 3-star behind a Jinx reroll with something like the Warmogs that you've got here, we haven't seen what the Zon mod is, but if it's the exploding one, this could result in a very large Warwick that can really do a lot of damage on the front lines, allowing Jinx to clean up the back line. I like the itemization if that's the plan. We'll just have to confirm if that's the Zon mod he's got.
You have a chance for Runons here off of these item drops. You have a duplicator as well, golden version. So maybe looking at a 4-cost upgrade in stage 4, maybe a 5-cost if he has that very lucky few shops and the level 7 roll down with 2 different copies of 1 5-cost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Finds the Jinx here. That's really good for
Robotic arm as well.
stabilization. And the robotic does come through. Great for the Jinx reroll.
Yeah, the fact that we could build a Hurricane here. It's not necessarily the most, slammed thing all the time, but we do get a look at those Zon mods here. So definitely not the exploding one that you're looking for. Is going to take out the Wood now that he knows he can't go that option, and just play around the Zon here. Does slam the Hurricane. Really good item on Jinx as we head into this fight. Again, against Wei Jin here, but this Jinx combined with the Cho'Gath should be able to actually get through the Swain here, and this should result in continuing the win streak. And Wei Jin had that good start, but it just doesn't feel like enough, and is now getting his 3rd loss here.
That's okay, though. Either you're winning or you're losing, and Wei Jin had a good start, is now racking up the loss streaks. Big important point, Hanxing and Volta able to keep their streaks, as we are going to be moving into our 2nd augments. The big question is, what's it gonna be? And it will be golden augments for the next ones. Overcharged mana font on Wei Jin's board if he wants to stick with the Sorks.
The big one here, Altanawe getting a second Bilgewater emblem, so that's going to be a big spike for him. Bilgewater is one of those traits that plays with tempo. If you can get 5 early, if you can get 7 early, you can do a lot of damage, and that's going to make it very easy to get 7.
We did also see 9 Bilgewater one time on stream at the very tail end of a fight with Ace in that game 4 yesterday, so it's one of the funnest comps to see with how fast everything explodes. I'm curious if Altanawe will have a chance to make it there. And also Xiaoge, playing that Vanquisher line, did find Stolen Vitality as his second augment choice.
He did, and I love that. I love the trait-specific augments. We've been seeing very little of them, if any, throughout all of these games because players, of course, value the emblems a little bit more. Very important to note, though, before I or anyone else gets jebaited here in this lobby, Tidal picking up the last stand as Golden Arcman is going to be something to look out for. He is loss streaking pretty heavily at the bottom there, and that will be meaning that he has a lot of economy, but might be tanking too hard.
Yeah, Honglian is looking like he's going to lose this fight here just barely against the 6 Swains of Wei Iverson, but do want to call out here that he's gone not to go with the RFCs. We're not going to see the Neela version, and instead we're going to see the Misfortune version. So that's pretty wild to see. 2 players still win streaking. We get a look at this board here, playing around the Bruiser, and here come the support items.
When I mentioned Hong Liang playing half of his games onto that Bilgewater line, it wasn't just the Neela, it was both the MF reroll and the Neela versions of Bilgewater. So still in his comfort zone, we'll see how he navigates to stage 3. He was in a very perilous position in the first 2 games, dropping to very, very low HP.
Yeah, definitely taking the Chalice here. I think that was the best option. Holy moly, he just reforged and hit a Void emblem. So that is definitely better than the Piltover. Has the Vel'Koz in the shop. You can see the hand on the head. He's like, okay, what do I do with this? And I do think this is something you play around. You have 100 health. You've got the time to work. So really good reforge. The items are super solid for something like a Kaisa, something like that Vel'Koz with a Sona support. We'll see here. Goes up against the other win streaker, though, and is unfortunately the weaker opponent here, so is going to lose that win streak. But again, I think getting that Piltover to become a Void is a big win for him.
And with that, the win streak is going to be broken on the side of Volta, as well as we are going to be moving into the carousel. This Neela is so interesting for so many players. Of course, Hong Liang and
Altanawe as well.
Altanawe as well, but we are seeing Wet Jungler yoink this Seju, and Altanawe will get the Neela.
Yeah, the fact that he gets that Neela early, I imagine we're going to go to 7 very quickly here. We're going to spike 7 Bilgewater. And again, stage 3, stage 4, that's when 7 Bilgewater is at its prime. So that should allow him to preserve a lot of health here. We'll have to get a look at his items, see if he can really build around that Neela. But this is that spot you really want to be if you're going to play that 7 Bilge line.
And Weijin as well, I'm seeing there, he picked up a Rod, has 6 Swains already, so we'll see where he goes with that. Tidal has to find some stability coming to this 3-5 roll down. He finds a Rek'Sai 3, he has a nice Bruiser frontline, but it's still an Ashe 2 carrying a Rage Blade, and so many components on his bench that he has to slam, he has to decide what exactly to itemize.
He gets the 6 Bruiser off of this now, is able to slam that on the Mordekaiser, has the Ashe in the backline for the Freljord support, and keep in mind, he has Last Stand. So he is going to be a little bit safer than some of the other players, and he's racking up the coins. Level 7, one of the few players in the lobby to actually make that here, and on the back of that 8 loss streak, at least have really good econ coming into this. If he manages to claw out maybe 1 or 2 more losses, he'll be back really high in his economy.
Yeah, I really like the support item choice here, by the way. It's going to give those 6 Bruisers high armor and MR. That's going to give them a lot of effective health, making them very hard to take down. And this Mordekaiser in particular, if we see this 2-star Mordekaiser Bruiser in the late game get a Nashor's Tooth, like, this thing's going to be a pain to take down. And so I think this is a pretty good spot for Tidal. And even if he starts to lose, that Last Stand's going to proc. That's going to be more armor and MR. That's going to be Omnivamp. That's going to be really powerful. So I like Tidal's position here.
We're going to be checking in with Han Sheng, who's still streaking up their Zon emblem, Juggernaut emblem, 100 HP since the start, and he is just cruising through this lobby here on the back of that Aegis. His Jinx does not have the Robo, but it's doing pretty good.
Worth calling out that the one game in the tournament so far that has had a Mr. 100 looked a lot like this. It was a Zon start. It was a full Mr. 100 win. So will that happen here? We'll have to see. Has a pretty good spot, like I said, like these items, like this Jinx. But you can see he's holding that gold, has 4 Jinxes so far. The question is, can he convert? And unfortunately right now, this Warwick's doing his best, but I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough. Azir's trying. Azir is ramped up.
Come on, Warwick!
The big phase out from Echo
Here
doesn't
we
get the
go.
second one. The Jinx is trying to 1v1, but she can't do it. Hanxing just barely doesn't make it to that coveted 10 win streak. The extra gold you get is so massive, but just the HP lead especially, preserving all that HP throughout stages 2 and 3, having that cushion in stage 4 to maybe get a little bit more greedy. Go fast 8 and try and find your forecast there.
I think the thing that's worried me right now is Altanawe here on this 6 loss streak. We know he spiked to 7 Bilgewater, or should be able to. You know, and so maybe not as much familiarity with that Bilgewater line as someone like Hong Lian. So we'll have to see if he can spike that up here. Maybe trying to just loss streak to get that economy back up. But right now, you really need to take advantage of the fact you've got this tempo.
Finds 3 bows.
Yeah, the bows are going to be really good here. Put those on the Neela. So hopefully we can get that good positioning going. But yeah, just again, it feels like he's just not as familiar with the line right now.
It's a little bit unfortunate if that branching out throws you a bone that you don't really want to pick, but Altanawe is doing the best he can right now, rolling down, trying to find upgrades on that Neela, on maybe the Nautilus to MF, is looking to maybe reroll that MF, looking at the items here. So we'll be seeing how it's going to go. That J4 will help. So that is additional CC that you got there, but you still have a lot of items to slam for him.
His key units all 1-star. Goes to show he's contested off on Hong Lian. Hong Lian just hit his MF2 upgrade, making it that much harder for Altanawe to actually hit. And he's facing one of the strongest players in the lobby, which could propel this loss streak even further and put Altanawe once again into an uncomfortable position at the start of the stage 4. But thankfully, it looks like it might be a win. One more Riptide comes through, and finally, it's a big win for Altanawe. He needed the stability.
Yeah, the fact that you've got the 7 Bilgewater here, I would expect him to win a few more fights, but like you said, we've already rolled down. As we head into the augment stage, you need those upgrades, and what augment is it going to be? It's going to be a gold here, so silver, gold, gold, pretty standard game with that silver start.
Anything interesting is the big question. Thus far, very generic augment choices. We're seeing a lot of long distance pulse, harm assist coming through. Capricious Forge on the side of Hanxing, as well as Mana Burn. That would give you a second support item. That'd be pretty good.
We saw Shurima Crest as well for what jungler, so he is leaning into this Shurima line for now, but Weijin finds 3 hand-picked Sorcerer augments. He's going to have a very stable stage 4 as long as he has the right upgrades, especially that Swain 3. He was very close to it in stage 3. He's rolling for it now. Can he find the 2 last Swains to make sure his front line is going to be unkillable?
More. Come on.
A huge
How
DPS check for everyone. Double upgrade. He finds both.
Only needs a couple of seconds on the same turn, though. Voltairic's able to find the Zona 3 that's now fully itemized together with the Vel'Koz, together with the Kai'Sa. We got the 6 Void online. It's not looking like a Zinedine Serrault, but it is one chunky Herald in that front line that can serve a little bit of CC together with the Zona. We are going to get some damage out here, but it doesn't seem to be enough.
This is such an awkward position because on the one hand, it's great. You found the Sona 3, and the way Void works is the star level of your Void champions are going to scale up the Herald or the Baron. So having a 3-star with that Void emblem means it's going to be very powerful. We do see a set 3 come on the side. But the thing that worries me here is like those Sona items are not great. She's going to get one cast off, struggle to get another one, and that's going to be really problematic here. And you've got a lot of items invested in something that's not going to output as much.
Warwick 3 as well has been found for Hanxing, as well as another Jinx 2, a Jinx 3 actually. And this goes to show one of the fundamental mechanics in TFT. If everyone's rolling for a 2-cost unit, you're going to have a much higher chance of hitting your own spike.
And we're seeing that exact board on the other side. I was mentioning earlier that it's not the robotic arm, but if you have a board like this, you don't even need it that much. Look at how much this boy is tanking. He does not want to go down the Jinx, trying her hardest to give a little bit of backline support and take down the front line that Tidal has built. But you're looking at 6 Bruiser and 2 Freljord, supported by a Shurima. The overtime does kick in, and that is going to settle it. The Azir comes out on top, and that is really unfortunate for Hanxing.
So one of the things to call out about the Zon comp, by the way, and I think Jinx is going to be the hero, and we're going to talk about it a lot. There's going to be a lot of focus. But that Warwick, with that mod, getting a ton of healing, that's going to be really powerful as well. And we saw it just took forever to take down that Warwick. Only overtime finally allowed them to get through here. So that Zon comp is only going to get stronger from here. The question is, do you get 4 Gunner? Do you find more Zon? Things like that. But overall, that Jinx comp's definitely been one of my favorites this tournament.
Spatula on the carousel was decisive for many players. Xiaoge can go for either a Vanquisher emblem or an Ionia emblem. Wet Jungler could potentially look at a second Shurima emblem if he was able to pick that up.
Wow.
So we'll see the direction and the spike that players hit after they picked up this Spatula. For now, no way to build either Vanquisher or Ionia for Xiaoge. They're going to have to hope for it at the PvE stage of this stage 4.
Is able to find the Xayah though, and that's really big. Even though she isn't like your main character right now, the Xayah 2 is going to help in support.
I do want to call out here, it's a little unfortunate, but Volterix had that great start, that 100 health all the way to, I believe it was 3-2 here. Now sitting on 29 health, so hasn't been able to put together that Void board. So we'll have to take a look at that. Right now, going up against Wei Iverson, that Swain 3. Swain 3, just one of those champions that ends up so powerful here. But Wet Jungler on a 5 streak, has really good Azir items, has that 6 Shurima, plenty of gold, that healing orbs. Doing his best here, but you can see that Swain just so powerful, cranking through, getting those big sorcerer procs, and it looks like it's just not going to be enough for Azir to get through, and that's going to be Wet Jungler losing his streak.
Unfortunately, yeah. I was a little bit sad that the Shurima wasn't doing a little bit more here for the front line. Azir just looking at his team like, huh? Where'd you guys go? Is gonna lose out on the back of that, but I wouldn't count him out just yet. Title, again, last stand. I'm not getting debated. Maybe you are, but he is looking for those reroll options here, rolling down to 0. And somebody else that is looking for similar units is Volta. So both of these players at the bottom there, you just said it, Mort. For Volta, the big thing that he needs here is that second Kai'Sa or turning the Bel'Veth into a carry, but the items are not really Bel'Vething.
Yeah, this is a really rough spot because you notice he's found the Bel'Veth on 7. That is going to allow him to get the Baron if he can get there. But 21 health, you have 7 gold right now. You are going to be praying for a lot of gold to drop and that you hope you find the Kai'Sa just automatically because otherwise, again, I talked about these Sona items. It's just not enough, right? You're casting so slow. You can't get through these bruisers. Even with the Giant Slayer here, it's just not enough.
Come on, Kai'Sa.
Does look like this fight, Kai'Sa needs one more cast here.
And he should be winning, right? I mean, Title is essentially down a gold augment in this case. If Volta is still losing to a board like this before the proc on Last Stand comes through, that is bad news. So Volta and anyone that's facing Title before he procs his augment is actually in a very good positioning. Once Title procs it, everyone else might be in trouble.
Yeah, other thing worth calling out here, Hong Leon now on a 4-loss streak here. We saw him kind of be this 1st or 8th player so far today, which is not what we were expecting considering how well he played in days 1 and 2. So we'll have to get a look at his strategist board a little later here. But right now, Volterix, like I said, praying for a ton of gold to drop. We saw this happen yesterday where maybe you get like 30, 20 gold in this situation. Can we get that here so we can go to level 8 and put in all the Void?
Give me money. There's a duplicator, but it's a lesser duplicator. A lot of money in units, at least, that is coming through here. And of course, the anvil that we will be able to use. That's a Nico, but that's not used to duplicate units anymore. Maybe he didn't get the memo. Hong Lian, though, like you said, is free falling. 9 HP. We're going to hop on over, check out what the board looks like as we are hopping across boardies. And
that's a duplicator.
Yeah, he's one
off. But what do you sell here? I mean, Bebe would sail the entire board, just off with it.
I was about to say the same exact point makes, but Hong Lian cannot do that. He knows it will not be the right play in this position at the very least. The Magic Wand is huge with the JG proc as well, but he's facing off against a set 2, one of the most stable players in this lobby, and I'm not sure the MF can do it despite the huge shielding that does come in for that comp.
I really like the damage that I'm seeing on the side of Hong Lian. The set has already fallen, and I'm not sure the backline that Xiaoge has built is enough to hold up against that. On the left side, though, we are maybe seeing that Last Stand proc Title now down to 1 HP. That is the actual proc, and we will be seeing the Bruiser board now be a lot stronger because Bruisers technically, yeah, they have a lot of HP, but if you want them to do really well, you need them to do a little bit better than that, which is why these kind of strength augments, power augments are really preferred, and finds the Mordekaiser as well.
Yeah, the big thing is he really needed to find, the Azir 2, the Mordekaiser 2, did finally find the Mordekaiser at least, so should be okay for a while. But the fact that Azir's been so contested has been pretty challenging here. And so Volterix did survive, had enough health. We are at 8 Void here. This is a big upgrade. Again, though, it just without the Kai'Sa 2, it feels like we're in a bit of trouble here. Hoping for an easier matchup here, maybe squeeze out a top 4. The Sona again continues to worry me, and up against Shurima Azir.
Baron Nashor coming out of play. We'll see how much he can tank and how much damage he can deal as well. As you mentioned, the Kai'Sa 1 has to be the secondary carry in this case, and the Sona 3 maybe will be the difference maker in this fight. The Azir still left completely untouched. It's down to just Sejuani and Azir now for the opponent's comp. Kai'Sa still also so healthy in that left
Volta's
corner.
got this.
Baron should be tanking for long enough.
Come
Can Kai'Sa cast
on!
one more time? She does. Big win for Volta, who needed that stability. He could be on just one life.
And Tidal also on the back of the last stand, able to survive, but one player will get eliminated here in 5-2. It is Honglian losing out on the Bilgewater handholding. I called it out early. I was nervous for this one. And Honglian, despite his so stable performances yesterday, all throughout day 1, day 2, not worse than a 5th place. Now today, going 8th twice.
And Tidal picked up last stand, a player that we mentioned at the very beginning of this game. He's in contention to get to checkmate. He knew he had to take a risk to do so. He knows that if he doesn't make it this game, it's almost guaranteed the next game. So I really like the risk of saying, I'm playing for last stand. I'm playing for this high cap game plan. If I make it, I might be able to win the whole World Championship in just 4 games.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a right play here. We got to look at that 8 Sorcerer board, by the way. It feels like this is a game right now where a lot of people are struggling to 2-star their 4-cost carry.
And we will be seeing the 2 players that are struggling for survival in a side-by-side. I'm not too worried about the left side. That's Tidal. He should be able to hang on with the last stand. But on the right side, you're seeing a massive Woofy boy supported by a Jinx 3. And if you had asked me prior to this day who wins between a Warwick 3 fully itemized with extra healing or a Baron Nashor, I couldn't have told you any different.
So close.
We're going to be seeing Volta be able to hang on here one more round. Each round here could mean a very important point for the EMEA player.
Okay, so a Void Emblem here for Volterix does open him up to play something like a second Challenger to power up that Kai'Sa if he needs.
Or Kai'Sa 2.
Yeah, I think that's what he's debating here. Goes with the Kai'Sa here, and I think that's an acceptable choice. The Hurricane, not ideal, but we know the importance of the Kai'Sa. That's going to be really strong here. I also want to call out, if you saw that Warwick healing, the healing from the mod there, that was proccing for about 1,200 a tick. That is a lot to chew through here. So that felt like a battle where there just wasn't enough damage on the backlines to get through, but the Baron was able to chew through with that extra shred and that Sunder that it provides. Now I picked up a Rogue Emblem, so maybe cooking a little bit with the Graves and the Bilgewater comp, seeing if he can find a way to win some of these next few fights, considering he is almost on 1 life. We're seeing how close the lobby HP is at the bottom end. Both EMEA players currently in the bottom 4. Wet Jungler and Tidal, both players that can make it a checkmate, right now have to win essentially every single fight in this stage 5.
I'm really stressed. There are so many players, like you're saying, who are on their potentially last life. And Wet Jungler, who you are talking about, is one of the players that needs a first in order to get to the checkmate of 20 points. And there are so many other strong boards that he needs to get through first. On the side of Wet Jungler, we are seeing the Azir that is your main carry here that is trying to deal out the damage, but I'm not sure it's enough against the Bilgewaters. Looks like it might just be the case. The Misfortune and the Nila are still standing, but the Azir will find them first, take them down. The Sejuani doing so much here, and on the left side, Tidal just found his Azir as well. He has the Mordekaiser as well. This board got so much stronger.
Yeah, the fact that Tidal was able to hit the Azir 2 here now, his board feels really strong, right? He's got the extra armor and R from last stand. He's got that Azir with the Ginsus. It's going to give him time to ramp up. He's got, you know, the Mordekaiser, the Bruiser. It's so much power on that board right now. I think he's a favorite to top 4. And look at the health of the lobby right now. The fact that we have our top 2 players, 54-34, but after that, we have a lot of people basically on 1 life right now.
And Tidal is coming in like a Grim Reaper in this lobby. Anyone that faces him because of the last stand proc and because of how strong his board is, as you mentioned, with all those upgrades, could be in deep trouble.
I'm so stressed out. If you're looking on the right side, there's 4 players up for elimination, and it could go either way. On the right side, we have the Baron spawning, hopping over to Wet Jungler. Tidal on the left-hand side with his board should be strong enough to find a win against the sword comp of Wasion. I think at least he should. The Swain will fall for the side of Wasion, and that solidifies the win for Tidal. On the right-hand side, Xiaoge knocked down to the last HP, is able to hang on though, but Altinawe is going to go out in 7th.
Another bot 4, 3 bot 4s in a row for the Latam player. Unfortunate in these first 3 games. It's going to be very hard to come back, but not impossible with checkmate if the right things end up panning out. And Wasion, 97 gold, Mortalk. He's rolling down a tiny bit. He's leveling up, it looks like.
Yeah, that's a lot of gold, and I think Wei Jin playing around that, that health, that strong Swain 3 absolutely correctly here. I imagine 6-1 we're going to see a big spike, and so it feels like right now we've got Tidal, Volterix, and Wei Jin looking like the strongest in the lobby, and it feels like this next matchup could decide a lot of things.
Question is, does Wei Jin make 9? Yes, he does. On the back of that, goes up to the maximum capacity.
Gangplank 2 for Xiaoge.
We'll be seeing what he does. Xiaoge finds the GP2. Ari found for Wei Jin. 8 Sorks will be here and ready with the main character. Ari online doesn't have items, though.
There's a Shen 2, still Silco 1, still Ari 1, so still can have a lot of big upgrades despite his HP lead and despite him being level 9.
Honestly, the fact he got this far with that Silco 1 shows the power of Swain and how well he can play around the board here. This should be a fight that goes in Wei Jin's favor, though. Yes, there's a Gangplank 2. This crit's going to be tough, but it is going to stop on the Swain. It's going to be struggling to get through the Swain here. As soon as this set dies, we could see a lot of backline. It is a bunch of 1-stars, though. Set never died, though.
Arma
gets a big stun here, and that is going to be a loss for Wei Jin, so he really needs to find an upgrade to stay alive. On the other side, though, we do see Wet Jungler get knocked out. And then we're looking at this board here again, just so much effective health from the 6 Bruiser with the last stand, with the support item, just so strong. And so our win streakers continue to win streak.
Okay, I just had to confirm with our admins because I saw a sneaky little upgrade come through on the right side of the screen. And I was like, huh? Didn't Volta find the Kai'Sa 2 off of the carousel? Weren't we talking about this? Why does he hit another Kai'Sa 2? Turns out Volta on 6 Kai'Sas also holding the Silco. He has spotted what's going on and he is saying, nuh-uh, I'm not playing.
And Volta is an absolute beast when it comes to finding win conditions in any game. He got that Void Emblem, pivoted into 8 Void, and is now trying to win the entire game with a Kai'Sa 3. We'll see if he can do it, but Tidal fighting for his life. The last stand proc, the huge amount of stats coming through, but he's facing one of the strongest boards in the lobby. Double Vanquisher Emblem on a GP2, especially with blue buff and that Rabadon's. A big ult coming in from GP, but the front line has already melted. The GP's being taken down. Azir still left alive. Mordekaiser, the god of death, is onto the back line. Huge win for Tidal, the Japanese player. If he wins this game 3, he can get into checkmate.
Xiaoge out in 5th. All other players able to hang on. Wei Jin now also knocked down to 16 HP as we enter our top 4. And I am stressed out. If you asked me if this was how the lobby was going to play out, I wouldn't have known any better. Tidal, just a quick reminder, can make check in this game. He needs a high finish to make it happen. Check is on 20 points, but he is the only one that could do that, and the only one that could, theoretically, if he does, then end the tournament in 4 games.
We'll see now as the fights load in. Who's going to face Tidal? Who's going to face this Grim Reaper that hasn't lost in so long? A 6 win streak for now on the left side of the screen there. We're seeing right away the triple threat carry, the Rek'Sai, the Mordekaiser, and the Azir trying to take down Wei Jin's board, who's continuing to lose, continuing to bleed the HP. Has found the Silco upgrade, but not the Ari just yet. Only a singular Giant Slayer on her for now. The Rek'Sai chewing through the front line. The Furious Bite, the Mordekaiser's already onto Silco, and it's too much damage coming through.
Does get knocked out here, and so does Wei Jin. Tidal solidifies his placement in the top 2, and that is going to be it, Hanqing and him up there.
One thing to call out here that I think is kind of an unsung hero is the fact that Tidal was able to get a redemption. And that is helping so much in so many of these fights. You've got the healing for the bruisers. I've already been ranting about their effective health enough. But also the AoE damage reduction. He goes up against a Gangplank. That's, damage reduction. Goes up against the Silco. That's going to be damage reduction. So just such a powerful version of this board. And then to top it all off, we have the Freljord Rise. So if these fights go long, that's going to be CC. That's going to be slow into stun. So this is just a very effective board here. And right now, unless something goes horribly wrong, my money is on Tidal.
But it doesn't even matter for the greater picture, right? Tidal has achieved check with the placement of 2nd or better. He has that in, it's locked, and whatever goes down now, I don't think he's bothered much. He throws this thumbs up towards Hanqing and says, whoever comes out of here for Hanqing. It would be really important to claw up those points. We'll see whether or not anyone can take down this bruiser board. Slowly but surely, the front line for Tidal is crumbling, but Mordekaiser does stay strong. He's at the forefront. He's tanking everything, and he will chew through it. And Tidal does not only make check, but he makes it with a first place.
And the Mordekaiser